Hi folks! In this video I'm going to assemble one of these Christmas mittens that I've made by cutting with my Cricut maker, using my braid pad and using my EasyPress. If you'd like to see me create one, keep watching. So in this video I'm going to show you how I assembled this big Christmas mitt. It's huge. It's about 17 inches long and the body of it is about 8 inches wide. On this one in particular I quilted the fabric first. So I did a layer of cotton, I put a layer of batting and a layer of cotton on the inside. I quilted the whole 12 by 20 inch piece. And then I had the maker cut it out in the mitten shape. And I have to tell you, I was amazed. The maker cut through the 3 layers like butter. It was just really fantastic. For the back, I did a layer of cotton with fusible batting and a second layer of cotton because I wanted it to be a little thicker. The whole thing is assembled together by the cuff at the top. We have our hang tab. I think it makes a really cute alternative to a Christmas stocking. It's fun, but I'll probably use these as gift bags. A bottle of wine fits in it beautifully. I'll make another one today in a plaid, and I think I'll use it as a gift bag for my grandson. I'll put a toy in it. In the pattern you're going to find the outside layer, the inside lining. You're going to find the cuff and the pull tab, and that's how simple it is to make. It takes some pressing in between, ironing in between. You can applique the cuff if you want it to be a little fancier. So let's go ahead and put this together. So the first thing that I'll do is sew my outside layer. So I'm going to turn it back to back, or good side facing good side. There we go. And I'm just going to use my sewing machine to sew a a quarter inch seam around the edge of the whole thing once I get it all lined up. I'll clip things in place to make sure they don't shift while I'm sewing. I'll be doing the exact same thing for the lining, so I'll sew these up and I'll be back to show you what I've done. So I've sewn around the entire outside layer, leaving the top open, of course. I've trimmed my seam allowance, and I've also snipped little triangles out of the curves to make them less bulky when we turn it inside out or right side out. So this layer is going to be turned right side out. There we go. Push the thumb out. I like this fabric, it's cute. It's a fleece. I happened to see it near the checkout counter in my fabric store and I thought, oh, that's so cute, I have to get that. Okay, so I'll finish turning the seams out, make it nice and neat, and press it all before I put the inside layer in. So I'm going to sew up the inside layer and I'll be back. So I'm just clipping the inside layer, making sure everything stays nice and straight while I sew it. Especially around details like the thumb, we want to make sure that doesn't shift. Love these little wonder clips. I ordered them on Amazon. I think they're terrific. And I haven't stabbed myself with a straight pin since I got them. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew all the way around the edge, leaving the top open, of course, and I'll be back. Okay, so I finished sewing the lining. I've trimmed up my seam allowance to reduce the bulk as much as possible. And this is going to fit inside the outside mitt. we're going to insert it with the right size together so the seams will be all covered. And I'm going to go ahead and press everything first so that it goes in nice and clean, and then we'll go on to making our cuff. Okay, so I've pressed my mitten and my lining. I've inserted the lining. We have good side out, and on the lining we have good side in, of course. So the seams will be completely hidden when this is put together. No need to serge the seams. So I was going to do the cuff next, but we need to pin in the hanging tab before we put on the cuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This rectangle is also in the file, so I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to sew one end and down one side and then turn it inside out to make the pull tab. Very simple. Okay, we'll just trim that up. And we'll turn it inside out, and I'll show you how it looks. So there's my hanging tab. I'm just going to go press it nice and neat before I pin it into the mitten. Okay, so this is pressed nice and flat. I'm just going to loop it in half. Decide which side you'd like to have it on. And then you want to make sure that your seams for your inside and lining, for your outside and lining, are lined up nice and straight. Make sure they're lined up. Take your hanging tab and put it down inside, because after you put on the cuff, you're going to pull it up. So make sure that it's hanging down into the mitten or stocking, whichever you happen to be making. And then you just want to put a pin through it to hold it in place and set it aside for now. That will all be sewn in at the same time as the cuff. So my cuff, I've folded in half. It's 8 inches so that I can make a 4-inch cuff. I folded it in half and pressed it nice. Now I'm going to open it up, take the 2 ends and sew them together. Sew them together to make a round fabric. I have black thread on my machine, but that doesn't matter because this will all be hidden. There we go. Just take that off. Now we're just going to turn it right side out again. Fold it in half. There we go. And we're going to insert it into the mitten. Make sure our seams line up. And we're going to pin it all in place before we sew around the top edge. So I'm going to fuss with that and get it all set up to sew, and I'll be back to show you what I've done. Okay, so I've got my cuff pinned to the inside all the way around the edge. I'm going to remove the base on my sewing machine so that I have a free arm, and I'm going to sew all the way around the top edge of the mitten, and I'll be back. So I've sewn all the way around the top of the mitten. I'm going to use my scissor now to trim up all the edge. I'm going to make a nice press, and then we're going to simply take the cuff and roll it out of the mitten. You're going to press it all down, nice and neat. Okay, so I've turned out my cuff. I'm going to press it nice and neat. I'm going to use some Cricut iron-on to applique the cuff. If you wanted to add a decorative trim to the bottom of the cuff, you could do that now, but it's much easier to do when you have the cuff all laid out in one piece before you sew it into a circle. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I hope you'll make some Christmas mittens, and thank you for watching.